Now, today is on the 2nd of August 2026 at exactly 5:55 p.m. and this is almost 48 hours ever since I watched Anam's Wake. And I'm of clear mind, sound conscious, not influenced by any drugs, and I'm saying this. Anam's Wake is the greatest ever Kenyan film in history. We have a masterpiece right here and nobody's talking about it. This is going to be a different kind of review. Normally you will have me doing a voiceover where I have B-roll footage of the film playing, but right now the film is in cinemas. I can't show the actual film. All I can do is provide a rough overview, first-hand information, limited editing, a real raw, authentic review of what happened. This is the best I can do and you guys have to just deal with my fuck face right now. You'll be seeing it a lot. Anam's Wake is a film that follows our protagonist Anam on her journey to take over the professional Mona business from her old and ailing auntie. Anam is in her final year of studying and she's kinda different. In as much as she wants to continue with the job because it's part of her family, part of her kinda hates it because in this day and age of modern things, it kinda looks a bit weird. Not only a bit weird, it's a profession that's dying because in this day and age, it's only limited to 3 communities in the western region. The Kisis, the Luyas, and the Luos. It's almost a dying tradition. And
professional mourners are becoming more popular throughout the world. The practice is exactly what it sounds like. And basically, you hire actors to come to a funeral and pretend to care.
And with that in mind, it means not much money is coming from it. So, what would Anam do? Now, that's not what the film is about. That's just the basis. That's just the bedrock. That's just the foundation. The main story is about Anam, who's about to perform her very first wake. She was just a background guy. She was never the lead act. She was never the main event. She was always guided by someone. But currently her auntie is getting old. She's sick. She can't scream her lungs out anymore. So this is her first time to do it and to prove to herself and to everyone that, you know what? I can do this on my own. I can actually do this thing on my own. So the main premise of this story happens in the house of this rich family. Father died and we got these 4 kids right here who kind of still believe in the olden ways because of the tradition. Unfortunately, believe it or not, this is one dysfunctional family. They are not okay. Yes, they're rich. Yes, they got all the money, but they fucking hate each other and hate their father. Now riddle me this. What happens when a dysfunctional family with an evil father who just died meets with an inexperienced person who's not that much good at a job? And they're supposed to depend on her to give their father a farewell and a peaceful send-off. What do you think happens? Your guess is as good as mine. This goes completely off the rails. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong. And this character called Death, played by Samson Omondi, he is not actually Death per se. He's more of a negotiator, but acts as Death. He is the judge and the jury, and he is the one who decides what soul passes and what soul is condemned to hell. The movie ends with a cliffhanger that forces us to ask these questions. When is the right time to grieve and mourn over someone? To have closure with someone? How much is a secret worth? Because trust me, there are a lot of secrets floating around in this family, in Anam's past life, that she didn't know until that moment. What really is death? And the last one and the most important one, what living and breathing actor right now from Kenya is better than Marima Wanjiru? One thing I love about the plot of Anam's Wake is the idea that Likarion Wainaina manages to balance every aspect of society. We have 4 completely different stories that manage to intertwine with each other without demeaning the value and importance of the previous one. The main story is about our protagonist Anam. Throughout the whole movie, we see her evolve from an emotionless, stoic figure to being one of the most over-the-top emotive characters. This is literal. Anam does not have any emotions whatsoever. It's part of the story. It's important to the story. She cannot feel happy. She cannot feel sad. She cannot be satisfied. Hell, she can't even feel horny. Like, she has this roommate who keeps asking her when she last got laid. Someone made a deal with death himself, and the cost of it was Anam's personality. This small bargain, this deal with the devil, plays an important role in her life because right now, the idea that Anam can't feel anything means everything in her life is just pure facts, pure fundamentals, nothing emotional, nothing spiritual. Which brings us to a second part of the story, Death. Apparently, Death is a character in this film, and Death is not the usual Grim Reaper that you see in films and cartoons. This is an actual embodiment of human. I don't know how I can put it, but this guy called Samson Omondi plays this character to the most and the best, fullest of extent. And it's just epic. It's epic seeing 2 humans going head to head in an ideological battle to decide what's right, what's wrong. Let's put a pin on that. We'll get to it in a minute. The third story is about this rich family. 4 children, 1 dead father, and a lot of skeletons in the closet. My favorite character among these siblings was Peter Kawa's character. He was the older sibling and kind of a bitch to everyone, but the idea of him being a bitch is actually what's keeping the family together. He did a lot of covering up and dirty stuff for his father, who was a mega evil parent to his children. And Peter Kawa's character, who happens to be the eldest son, is the only thing keeping this family together. Nobody wanted to come to the father's funeral because he burnt all the bridges. No friends, no relatives, hell, even the kids were hesitant to come. And the final story was about Death and Anam. 2 characters going head to head on an ideological battle. Who was right? Who was wrong? What is right and what is wrong? Is forgiveness necessary? Is closure necessary? How do you intertwine all these 4 stories into one cohesive script that doesn't demean each and every single one of these plot lines and gives you a well-rounded, well-clear, polished, 100% epic story? Only one who can do that is this guy called Likarion Wainaina, who's the writer-director, and I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the greatest films I've ever seen my whole life. Not just from Kenya, not just internationally, my whole fucking life. In Anam's story, we tackle the theme of consequences. She's facing consequences for things she never did, for ultimatums she never bargained for situations she couldn't control. Because believe me, deep down you can actually see the emotions that were taken away from her at the beginning of the story, always trying to fight her way back, despite it not being able to happen because a deal was made when she was a child, a deal that she did not have any consent to. And the chess game involves the third story, which is this rich dysfunctional family. They are playing with this family's mourning, with this family's grieving, with this family's suffering as a battle of ideology of who is right and who is wrong. It's death versus Anam with this family as the chessboard. Now, when I was watching Anam's Week, it was giving me some folklore horror vibes. I was getting some Robert Eggers in The Witch. I was getting something creepy, something scary, not a jump scare type of scary. It's a mental psychological horror type of scary. Everything just looked gorgeous. The Wake performance had these epic white robes and dresses. Death had this insanely detailed purple robe, and the mysterious villain in the poster had this epic red robe. Now imagine mixing all of these cool elements in the costume design with a cinematographer who knows what the fuck he's doing. In Kenya we have someone called Enosolik. He was the lead cinematographer for this film, and one thing I can confidently say, we witnessed someone who's very good at his job bringing out the best version in a script. The shots in this movie were so intricate, and I'm not making this up. I almost had to sit down and calculate the average shot length. Normally in Kenya, we have directors not able to sustain a shot for more than 5 seconds. Likarion Wainaina and Enosolik managed to pull this off and stretch it to around an average of 40 seconds. In other words, you actually see movements breathe. The pacing was slow but controlled. You actually see people emoting. You actually don't compromise on the pace of the story with shit editing. You guys know these gimmick films from Hollywood which emphasize on this one take thing? Something like Birdman by Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu, 2014, which won Best Picture, or 1917 by Roger Deakins. Don't get me wrong, they're not on the same level in terms of cinematography because this is a fucking $100 million picture and this is a barely $30,000 picture. But you can see someone who knows his craft bring out the best in what they can do with the limited resources that they have. Enosolik is one talented son of a bitch. This is the greatest ever cinematographer in Africa. And also the idea that he's able to light dark skin well, like you can actually see people with melanin look good on camera. It's almost impossible to hear that. This never happens in Hollywood. Black people are not filmed well. There was a scene in this film that was 7 minutes long and no cut. It was a scene where Death and Anam were arguing back and forth, and you could see it was a tracking shot where they were just blocking each other. Death was teleporting around the room while Anam was following him, and it didn't seem over the top. It was just controlled. Nobody stumbled along the lines. Nobody fumbled their words. Everybody knew what to say. Everybody knew their cue. Everybody knew their emotiveness, and everybody just stuck to the script, made everything work. That right there, if you've watched that part, you know what the hell I'm talking about. It gave you something. You know what? I'm going to watch this film again tomorrow. This film respects African culture. They mixed the Luo, Swahili, and English in equal ratios, and it wasn't this over-the-top stupid dialogues that stupid and talented actors deliver in Kenyan films. It was actual real actors who are good at their job, bringing out the best of the script. This guy could tell a story in a language that respects the community where it is based off of. This is what happens when a competent director hires competent actors and makes them act off of a competent script. You get a good film. This is what happens when you hire the right people for the right job. And I don't even know if Marima Wanjiru is an actual Luo. I don't know if she's a Kikuyu or a Luo, but her Luo dialect was kind of on point. It was spot on. And Peter Kawa. Holy shit, Peter Kawa. I'm not gonna lie. Peter Kawa is one underrated actor in Kenya. That guy was a fucking bitch. A stupid fucking bitch. I felt like punching him on the screen. That's how good he was. He made me feel something. Like, Peter Kawa is just unspeakable. And at the end of the movie, we reached a point where everybody was crying. And I don't know, when the camera was panning, it was doing a 360 pan. It was just so epic. Everybody literally cried on command. I don't know how long it took for them to do that take, but I'm happy. I really wish I could see some behind the scenes of this film, but I'm happy with what I saw. The closure, the conclusion, the performance from everyone, that was epic. There was this scene where Anam was communicating with different dead people, and you could see the cross-cutting when she was talking to someone who died from her past, someone important, and then she was talking to Death. Death was using people from her past to manipulate her into making the decision that he wanted. And that interaction where you see it pans to Marima, and then she's behaving like a normal person. Then it cuts to her behaving like another person. Then it cuts to Death, disguising himself as another person. It was a back and forth chess play, and it was just so epic. This is proof that good editing sells a scene, because I'm not gonna lie, if I was reading that scene in the script, I couldn't picture it the same as how I'm seeing it on screen. The editing was good. And that editing works because the acting is also good. I really wish we could find a way to make this film go international, because Samson Omondi and Marema Wanjiru need to get that Oscar win. This is an Oscar level performance that kind of sucks that will go to waste. Now, this is a mini spoiler, but towards the end of the film, Anam finally manages to get back her emotions. The deal that was exchanged to her as a kid is reversed, and she now has the upper hand over death. She managed to outsmart death, and that moment of burst of emotions when they finally come back, it's just epic, man. Like, you could see, her face goes from this stoic, and then she starts crying. That was epic, guys. I'm not trying to gas Likarion Wainaina. I'm not trying to suck his cock. He delivered a masterpiece. This film is a masterpiece. Actors were epic. Everything from behind the scenes, from the costumes, set designs, locations, cinematography, editing, everything was just on top. Some scenes kind of lasted longer than they should have. That's just my problem. That whole long take scene almost became a gimmick at some point, and I feel like they could have cut like 10 minutes out of this film and it would have been a perfect. But that seems like a personal choice. Objectively, this is a good film. And I can't believe I'm doing this, but for the first time, fuck it, I'll give it a 10. This is the first, and I think one of the only few movies that I will give a perfect 10. But we have to find a way to make this talent known worldwide. We have to find a way to push this film to fucking Oscars, Golden Globes. So here's what you're going to do. I have given a review on Letterboxd right here. You can check it up, link in the bio. I want you guys to go and create a Letterboxd account and hype this movie up. Like my Letterboxd review, follow me, and let's make this film great. I want you guys to go to IMDb and spam this movie. Give it a 10 out of 10. Letterboxd, give it a 5. If we can get at least 1 million people from Kenya doing it, all creating Letterboxd account, all creating IMDb account, and going and upvoting and giving this film reviews, like, just, it barely takes 4 minutes. Give it a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. And we can push it. Make show up for this movie. Find a way to make every single person aware that this film exists, because we have lightning in a bottle right here. This is this film right here, 31st July 2026. This was the day that Kenyan film industry changed. This is the day that Likarion Wainaina started the trend, the movement. I don't know how long he's going to do this, but I hope that this is the catalyst to great films in Kenya. I hope that this film serves as the end of this old era of mediocre actors who are aging and appear in our movies all our lives and they do nothing. Fuck all of them. So, Anam's week. I approve it. Go watch it.